everyone. Notes 4.4 are on perimeter and area of composite shapes. And before we do anything, we have to define what a composite shape is. And a composite shape is just a shape that consists of two or more shapes. So the figure below shows a composite figure. What shapes does the composite figure consist of? So if you notice, it consists of a semicircle right here and a triangle right here. And just a quick note that a semicircle is just a half circle. So we want to determine the perimeter and the area of the figure. So let's start by actually finding the area. So let's find the amount of space that is inside this full figure. So the first thing that we have is a semicircle. And if you remember, the area of a full circle is pi r squared. And because this is a semicircle, it's a half a circle, we're just going to divide that by 2. Now, in our circle, we know that our diameter is 8 because it's 8 from here all the way down to here, which means our radius would have to be half of 8. So I have to take 8, divide that by 2, and I get 4. So here, what I would do is pi, and then I would replace the r with 4, and then I would square that, and then divide that by 2. 4 squared is 16, so I would get 16 pi, divide that by 2, and then 16 divided by 2 is 8 pi. Notice how I haven't multiplied by pi yet, because I want to leave this in terms of pi as much as possible so that I don't have to deal with a lot of decimals, because once you multiply by pi, you get a lot of decimals. So here I would get 8 pi. Now I can go to my calculator and figure out what 8 pi is. So I would just write 8 times pi in my calculator, and I end up getting 25.13274123. I'll round this to the nearest tenth, so it's 25.1 because the 1 is followed by a 3, so that 1 stays a 1. So we know that the area of our semicircle is 25.3 centimeters squared. Now we need to find the area of our triangle. And just a reminder that the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. The base times the height divided by 2. And just a quick note that the height has to be perpendicular, has to make a right angle with the base. So my base right here I can see is 12, and my height right here I can see is 8, 2. So I'm just going to multiply 12 by 8 right here, and I end up getting 96. And then I'm going to take 96 divided by 2, and I get 48. And this is 48 centimeters squared. So to find the total area, it's going to be equal to the area of the semicircle, which is 25.3, plus the area of the triangle, which is 48. And when I add those two together, my final answer here would be 73.3. And that's how you find the area. Now let's go ahead and talk about how to find the perimeter. So the first thing I want to do is find the circumference of this blue semicircle. And just a reminder, circumference pretty much just means perimeter, but it's the perimeter of a circle, okay? And just a reminder, the formula for the circumference of a circle is pi times diameter, or 2 pi r. But since we are given the diameter, let's use pi times the diameter. But it's a semicircle, it's a half circle, so I have to divide that by 2. So I'm going to, I know that the diameter here is equal to 8. So I'm going to replace the d with 8 right here, and then I'm going to write divided by 2. Now, see here I've got 8 pi divided by 2, which is 4 pi, because 8 divided by 2 is 4. Notice how I have not multiplied by pi yet. Now I've gotten to a single number times pi, so I can type that into my calculator and see what I get. So 4 times pi gives me 12.566. I'm going to round to the nearest tenth, so that 5 has a 6 that comes after it. So 5 and above, give it a shove. That 5 goes up to a 6. So the circumference of the semicircle is 12.6 centimeters. I know this distance around here is 12.6. Now the next part that I want to take a look at is this part of my triangle, and I know that distance. So the next part is just the base of my triangle, and it's 12 centimeters. And I apologize, I just realized that these are all in meters. So this should say meters squared over here, this should say meters squared over here, and this should say meters, and this should also say meters. Sorry about that. And then lastly, our last piece that we have is this hypotenuse right here. So I actually have to calculate this hypotenuse. And how do we find this hypotenuse? By doing Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to do a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And this hypotenuse is the c. So then I'll say the a is 8 and the b is 12. It doesn't matter which one is which. So here I'm going to say 8 squared plus 12 squared is equal to c squared. So 8 squared is 64. I copy down the plus sign. Notice how I don't bring down the squared anymore because I've already done my squaring. 12 squared is 144 and then equals c squared. Now, since 64 and 144 are on the same side, I can go ahead and add them together. And when I add them together, I get 208. Now the c squared is alone and I have a single number on this side, so I can go ahead and square root both sides. Let's see what we get. So I'm going to take the square root of 208 and I end up getting 14.4. So here I know that 14.4 is approximately what c is equal to. So if we go ahead and look at our perimeter right here, we know that our perimeter is going to consist of this 12.6, this 12 right here, as well as this 14.4. Question for you, why am I not including this 8 right here? Because the perimeter is the outside of the figure, and this 8 is on the inside of our figure. So therefore, we do not add 8 to our perimeter. So again, we're only going to add 12.6 plus 12 plus 14.4. So let's go ahead and do that. And we end up getting a perimeter of 39 meters. And that's how you deal with composite figures. So it's pretty much the same thing as dealing with general shapes. The only difference is that at the end, we just have to add up all of our answers together. And then just watch out for perimeter. Make sure you don't include the inside sides. Okay? All right, so in this example, a hotel is remodeling its outdoor entrance area. The new design includes a tile walkway leading to a semicircular fountain. Calculate the area and the perimeter of the walkway. So let's do the area first. So if you notice here, this one's a little bit trickier because this time our area consists of a full rectangle, but we're going to take away or erase the area of this semicircle. So this time, instead of adding our areas, we're actually going to subtract our areas. So let's go ahead and do this. So the first thing I want to do is find the area of the rectangle. And to find the area, you would do length times width or base times height. And here we know that our base is 6 and that our height is 17. So we would do 6 times 17, which is 102. So the area of our rectangle is 102 square feet. Now we need to find the area of our semicircle, and we're going to remove it. So here we want to be careful because we need to determine the radius, because the area of a circle is pi r squared, but we're going to divide that by 2, by the way. So what is the radius? Well, we know that the diameter here is 6. How do I know it's 6? Because in our rectangle here, this is 6, and so the other side of our rectangle is going to be equal to each other. Is going to be equal to the bottom part of our rectangle, I mean. So right here, since the diameter is 6, we divide it by 2 and we end up getting 3. So here our radius is 3. So we know our radius here is 3. So I'm going to replace the r with 3. So pi times 3, and then I have to square it, all divided by 2. Well, 3 squared is 9, so I get 9 pi divided by 2. And 9 divided by 2 gives me 4.5. So this right here is 4.5 pi. I'm going to type that into my calculator and see what I get. And I end up getting 14 point, I'll round to the nearest whole number this time, so it's 14. So we can say this is 14 square feet. So to find the full area, I have to take the area of my rectangle and then subtract the area of my semicircle. That's supposed to be a semicircle, by the way. So the area of my rectangle is 102 square feet. We figured this out right here. And then the area of our semicircle is 14 square feet. So then when I subtract those two, I end up getting 88 square feet. All right, let's figure out our perimeter now. So our perimeter is the outside piece, okay? So our perimeter is going to consist of this side that we know is 17, as well as this side that we know is 6, as well as this side that we know is 17 also again. And then we also have this circumference right here that we actually have to calculate. So how do we find that? Well, we know that the circumference formula is pi times the diameter, but because it's a semicircle, we just divide it by 2. And here we know that our diameter is equal to 6 feet. So I'm going to say pi times 6 divided by 2. Or I could just say 6 pi divided by 2, which is 3 pi. So let's type this into our calculator to see what we get approximately. And we get approximately 9 feet. Now notice here that this line right here is not part of our perimeter. So I'm going to actually get rid of it now that we figured out what the diameter is. And we know now that this length right here is 9 feet. And this time we're going to actually include it because it's part of the outside of our figure. If we had this piece right here, then we would have not included the 9 feet and we would have just included the 6 feet. Okay. So let's find our perimeter. So it consists again of this 17 plus this 6 plus this other 17 that we have here plus this 9 that we have here. So 17 plus 6 plus 17 plus 9, and we end up getting 49. So that means that the perimeter of our figure is 49 feet. And that's it for this video. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in class. Bye.